Hello guys and welcome back. Today we have an interesting video. It's from the name Solo Travel and it got 1.2 million views. It's not long, it's 5 minutes, but let's see what's going on and why it has given or got so much views, because probably it's talking about our inner desire to live more free away from the matrix.
It was the last college summer. Well, for most, but not me. I was taking a gap year to focus on my small business at the time. Things didn't go as planned. I got a severe burnout and eventually gave up on the whole thing. So I spent the rest of my gap year mostly inside my room.
Yes, um, that's actually a very big problem. These burnouts, because they actually come from not wanting to do what you think that you have to do. And so it's an inner body reaction, like our internal rebellion. So that's what happens to a lot of people, that burnout that you feel, it's our inner body or soul response of not wanting to do something that we are forcing ourselves to do.
Distracting myself with video games and feeling like a failure. That was when a few friends took me out to grab a bite. They said I should go somewhere. I said Alaska. Asked them to ride with me. They were hesitant, but they agreed. The plan was then made, routes decided, bikes readied, and everything was taken care of. The plan was to ride 04 motorcycles from Richmond, then take Route 76 and head to Alaska Highway. But life happened. As the day of the journey approached, people started dropping out one
It's classical. So people say that they want to do something, but then when the day come, they usually bail out.
by one. On the day of the journey, the last and the final person backed out. So, had to make a choice whether to give up on the plan or attempt riding across the country on a 10-year-old motorcycle. I decided, what the heck, let me have a go at it. If
I actually love watching videos about people that left everything and went after that kind of freedom. And a big problem in our society is that it's really made like a matrix so that you cannot leave. It's programmed. You have to work 40 years and then maybe you can get a pension. So it's much harder to leave everything behind and just go explore and live life, trying things out. You got locked into a system, and then you have to do the same thing over and over again, and mostly it's not rewarding. While while I watch videos, or when I try to do something by myself, like hunting or fishing and eating what you catch, actually life becomes much more interesting and much more community based.
I don't go now, I would never get this mess out of my system. So I made a mental agreement. The moment when the bike gives up is when I give up and head back home. And I was on the road. The road took me across the country, Pittsburgh, St.
So it's like a classical story. That's why it's so appealing to people to watch, because it's like going with this guy on this adventure.
Dusky, Michigan Lake, Seattle.
And a lot of us actually probably feel that way, that we are trapped.
And all the way to Vancouver. I drove from dusk till dawn and took a quick nap whenever I could, at the bus stops, by the rivers, and under the oak trees. Recipe for a horror movie, I know, but I was too tired to worry, living in the city for all of my life.
Actually, I watched a guy that sold everything that he has, and then he he went on walking and he was eating from dumpsters and something like that. It's not something that I would advise, but it was actually interesting to hear.
Life, I almost forgot how peaceful it was to just fall asleep under a sky full of stars. Spending most of the time driving makes you appreciate small things. A hot cup of coffee in the morning feels like a privilege. A double cheeseburger at a local diner feels like a warm hug.
Yeah, because that way you're truly living. You're exploring, you're like on adventure.
And sometimes I'd get lucky after a long drive and chance into a dingy motel by the road. I'd check right in because after a few thousand miles of driving like crazy, their rock hard mattress would feel like a bed of sweet marshmallows. By the time I reached Seattle, 4 weeks had passed. It took a lot more than planned because I took a lot of detours at every interesting turn I found. I followed my gut and kept my fingers crossed I had not run into any Freddy Krueger. And there was no Freddy Krueger indeed. Instead, I found a secluded lake tucked away in the forest, an abandoned mall where I played one hell of a basketball.
So that's what most people are afraid of running into some big dangers that will endanger us and create something bad, or yeah, but usually it's not what happens, but it's good.
Match with myself and a piano left in the middle of the desert.
Okay,
There's
interesting.
something
Yeah.
so sacred about finding hidden gems on the road. Sacred and surreal. Like they were made for me, my own little corner of the world. I promised myself that one day I would return. I promised, then I marched on. But the rest of the trip didn't go as planned. My bike broke down when I reached Beaver Creek. What now, I think to myself. I thought back to my initial pledge. When the motorcycle gives up is when I will give up, and was going to book a flight home. But that felt like the easy way out. So I told myself, to hell with it. So I sold the bike and walked. I walked until each step was heavier
Oh
than
my
the last,
god.
until my breaths thickened. I walked until I couldn't. Then I hitchhiked. The miles ticked away, and I found myself among the salt of the earth, from the elderly couple who offered me cans of canned beef for the road, to the veteran who offered me free lodging for a couple of days just because we all loved Chuck Berry. When I told them about my plan, they all told me to go for it. On June 28, I reached Alaska. I burst with joy when I saw Alaska Range. The beautiful, majestic Alaska Range with its snow-capped peaks and shimmering glaciers. I stood there in awe. At that point, I had no strength left in me, but I was filled with this warmth of never-ending freedom. I spent the next few days at a hospital after losing over 20 pounds and dehydration, then spent
Okay, that's not good. So people will tell, yeah, he should have planned it, but
a week staying at home
it's
just to
interesting.
recover. Some asked me if the trip solved my problems. It didn't. Running away from them didn't help.
No, because a lot of the times you bring all the inner problems with you. If you're still mentally connected with the matrix, it's not easy to escape it.
My problems were still there, patiently waiting for me. But I will say this. One morning, you'd wake up in a strange land thousands of miles away from home, and you'd be a nobody. No expectation, no judgment. So instead of acting how people expect you to be, you act how you really feel with complete agency and without feeling guilty for not trying hard enough. That was what I felt.
So essentially, he started to live life day by day, and not being, how do you say, not enslaved by, constricted by society. So he became free and became alive, and that's what actually happened to in the book Walden, Henry Thoreau. So that's something interesting to think about.
On my first morning in Alaska. The problems I ran away from no longer felt as heavy as it was. They just felt less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. And for the moment, that's what I do. To seek, to strive, to ride, and not to yield. I said it before, and I said it again. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it.
That's actually a great idea. So, yeah, sometimes we have to go out of our comfort zones and leave everything behind. I always advocate to start within, where everything resides. So, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all this great stuff, and see you in the next episode.